Hello, and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vonnie. This is episode 90, and we Shazam our way to Kahndaq to talk about Black Adam, DC's latest masterpiece. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's fun to do another show with y'all. I'm excited for this episode because we haven't seen and talked about a movie all together in a while, and this is a chance that we get to do that. It is a comic book movie. We are talking about the incomparable Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in his new DC efforts, Black Adam. So
I think he should be renamed the Dwayne Johnson Rock.
Dwayne Johnson Rock.
Who calls him Dwayne Johnson? He's just The Rock. Like, The Rock is his real name. Dwayne Johnson is the quotation mark name.
Agreed. It should be the Dwayne Johnson Rock.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
I got it.
I like that.
That makes sense. It wouldn't make any sense saying it out loud, but I got it. So The Rock finally, because he's been promoting this thing for years now, finally gets Black Adam into movie theaters in front of audiences. Supposedly the biggest opening weekend of his career, which it was like 67 million-ish, something like that in the U.S., which actually is surprising to me. I would have thought he would have put a movie out that made way more than that, but I guess he hasn't. So for someone who is the biggest movie star in America, unclear how he's never hit above 67 million before on an opening weekend, but he managed to do it. He's
as
excited.
the lead?
Yeah, as the lead.
Because I'm saying, like, because the Fast movies, he's not the lead,
Yeah,
so
what
maybe
about
those
Fast and
don't
Furious?
count.
Oh, I see.
So maybe that doesn't count. I don't know. Well, I don't know that those get 67 million anymore. I'm not sure. We can look that up. Google it. Savon, can you Google that for us? What did they make on opening weekend for like Fast? What the last one he was in was probably like Fast 7 or something like that.
Like, how does he not crack that number?
Yeah, 100 million,
but
right?
Be
Like,
the biggest movie star. Like, I think pretty much from a zeitgeist
Like
standpoint,
Harry Potter
we all
made 100
acknowledge
million.
Yeah,
he's like the biggest.
I think it's him as the lead because these movies, the Fast ones, have still have Paul Walker and Vin Diesel as like the leads. They're not really
in the okay, but in the opening weekend they never made more than 67.
I'm saying, I think when they say biggest opening weekend for The Rock, I think they're referring to him as the lead, not as just a movie that he's in.
No, I hear you. Did they make? Well,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
well,
they
you're
made
looking
bang.
it up.
Yeah, they made bang. Why do you think they're pumping these movies out? Oh yeah,
I know they make a lot overall. I just wondered if they made that much.
made
Anyways, all right.
Made
So
a
he's
bill
putting
in
out this-
17 days.
Okay. All right. So this movie is sort of been coming for a while, and he's been putting it up on his social media for a while that like he previewed the costume a while ago. He made a whole rap video that went with this thing. Like there's a lot that's been going on.
Oh,
with
I
this.
forgot about the rap video. And he actually raps.
He raps in it, which I
Oh,
kind of
boy.
like. It was kind of fun.
Of course you would.
It was better than the low standard I had set for him.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
say that.
The rock bottom
It was just
standard.
fun.
And
Did you have expectations? Were they met? Savon, what were you thinking going into this movie?
Yeah, I went and saw this movie because I was just in the neighborhood running errands, and I was like, "Oh, this is a $9 matinee. Let me check this out." So I
Ooh,
went in with
$9. I had to pay $15.
this movie is perfect for $9.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I paid like less than $10. Oh, absolutely. So I went in with very low expectations. Also, to be clear, as much as I love The Rock as a wrestler and someone who grew up watching WWE, as an actor, I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of The Rock?
So this is something I've saw other people. I'll tell you all this. It helps ruin The Rock for you. I say this is loving his wrestling work. He has contracts in his clauses in his contract in movies where his character can't lose fights. Y'all do know that, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I know
So-
that he never kisses the main female lead in his
Really?
movies, which is also kind of weird. Like that, I don't.
It's very
understand.
specific. But
Yeah.
point is, like, and this is something that came up with, which is why The Rock kind of had beef with Vin Diesel in their movies, and this happens with the movie with the one with him and Jason Statham, Calvin and Hobbes and Shaw, whatever the hell it is. Point
Hobbs and
is,
Shaw.
if you watch, and once you realize what it means, you see it in all his movies. There's a clause basically of his character can't lose a fight and can only take so many hits. And then when you watch his movies, you realize you watch his character win these ridiculously one-sided fights that actually break the flow of the narrative, or at the very least, they end in a draw. So like in Hobbs and Shaw with him and Jason Statham, they get into multiple fights. There's never a clear winner of the fight because both of them being alpha dog movie stars basically don't want their characters to look bad on screen. And so there's actual like how many hits they can take and like all of that. So for everyone at home, if you watch things with The Rock in it,
do you have sourcing for this? Because not that I'm saying it couldn't happen, and not saying that a major movie star wouldn't have this in their things. This definitely seems plausible. But as someone who, as The Rock, he's a showman. He understands like arcs and things like that.
Not your character winning, your character just getting beat up. Like John Wick. John Wick gets his ass beat multiple times.
He would seem like a person who would understand, like, if you lose a fight mid-movie or early movie, your redemption arc as you come back and are stronger would be even more. It seems like he would understand that.
I think the idea here is that he doesn't care about story and he cares about brand management. That's what
it's 100% that. Keep in
mind, is that
The
true?
Rock,
That's what I'm saying.
The Rock is a
true?
wrestler.
This is how
this is how wrestling works, right? He treats.
Oh, but he's lost. He loses.
Yeah, but that's because he didn't have. Yeah, it's because he didn't have nearly as much like status and control as he does. Also, like The Rock was beloved because he put people over in wrestling and he helped other people's careers build up. But in the context of movies, he just doesn't do that. And I'm telling you, like it happened with him, Vin Diesel, and Jason Statham because they all have variations of that clause. But it's to the point where if you watch the movie, you can see, oh, this fight is going in a very weird way because clearly they don't want anybody to lose. Like it's very, it's also where you see it. You saw it in Black Adam. Think about the movie. When did he ever get his ass beat?
He's also the title character.
Yeah, but your title character can get their ass beat and still beat like
not
John
if he's
Wick.
Unbreakable.
Yeah, like John Wick wins fights,
Superman.
but yeah, like even in the Superman movie, like Superman still wins, but there's moments where Superman is getting worked. In every movie Superman's in, he's still in in Man of Steel, them other Kryptonians beat his ass. In Batman versus Superman, Batman still like is working him for a hot little minute. Black Adam does not struggle in this movie ever. That's not a coincidence.
Well,
it's
an interesting.
It's just something. Yeah. It's just a good lens to look at things that The Rock is in. Point is, I went in with no expectations because I knew those things, and I was like, okay, let's see what we got. So I'm trying
to read this article that you sent, and it doesn't necessarily say that this is in all of his movies, and nor does it say that they found evidence in the contract. Although I can't read the Wall Street Journal article, I think it's behind a paywall.
Do you want to link this article to all of our listeners right now?
You just don't believe me?
Why don't you read out the URL?
If someone has a WSJ scholarship, what's it called? Membership subscription, you can read this article. Savon will put it in our links in the in Instagram or something. He won't. Oh my
God, you just not believe me?
No, I can't. That's not what it says in this article you sent. That's all. So, anyways. I believe that this is something that could happen in Hollywood for sure, 100%.
Okay, so okay, Wes.
Yeah, but like whether that's actually the case or not, I don't have any.
Just say you don't believe me. Just say it.
Okay.
Don't beat around the bush.
I don't believe.
All right, there we go. Dang. All right, there we go.
All right. So going into this movie, I had very low expectations. For one, because I have no idea who Black Adam is. Never heard of him, never seen him, never heard him come up in any like Justice League thing, like completely unknown character to me. So I went in just being like, let's go find out who this character is. And in that way, The Rock's marketing must have worked on me because I follow The Rock on Instagram and I knew this movie was coming and I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. The Rock's in it. He seems to really love it and is really excited for this thing. And, so that was my expectations. It's also actually been a while, kind of going with what Savon said. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that I really enjoyed that The Rock's been in. I think probably The Rundown is my favorite The Rock movie. And that was, 15 or almost 20 years ago now at this point with Stifler and Rosario Dawson starring in it.
It's got to be if Stifler's in it.
Yeah. That was a fun movie. Great. Loved it. But I don't know. I mean, movies that he's been in since then have been like good. They're fine. He's funny. You know, he's a good actor, but certainly not anything I've been like, oh man, this is like amazing. I have to rewatch this. Jungle Cruise. I'm looking at you. So yeah, I mean, my expectations were pretty low for this. Brian, did you have any expectations?
I mean, I actually really like The Rock. I mean, The Rock was always my favorite wrestler.
Of course,
back
he was
in
the
the
great
90s.
one. He was the people's champ.
I mean,
Poontang Pie.
He's dragging you down Jabroni Drive. Like, what more could you want? And I do think Wes, that he is a very charismatic and fun actor. Like I do like when he has fun on screen, but it's so weird. Like it happens very seldomly. Like I don't know why this guy chooses the movies he does. Like
he was so much more fun as a wrestler, dude.
It's so silly. But I mean, when he's in like a family rom-com type movie, love it. Like he did that movie where he's like a quarterback of the New England Patriots, and he's got like some daughter that he didn't know about, and now he's got to take care of her. He's actually really funny in that movie. Same in that movie with him and Kevin Hart, like one of the first ones they did together.
Not
Jumanji, where they're like
right along.
The Rock is like an FBI agent, and they knew each other in high school, and The Rock has to like they do a flashback, and The Rock's in a fat suit, and he's like singing in the shower. He has a good time with it. He's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of movies. Central Intelligence. There you go. Thank you, fellow Googlers. So he's, I think he's got range and ability. But when it came to Black Adam, like just like all his other big blockbusters, The Tower or whatever, you kind of there's a little bit of an eye roll. It's like, okay, it's a Rock movie. But at least this one, DC superhero movie. Again, like you, Wes, I'm not familiar with the character, but all the marketing seemed to suggest, okay, this guy's a badass. This might be a little darker. That's cool. So I came in with like weird expectation. I don't know that I was expecting. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but I did know that the reviews were really bad. So I will say that. So I think it's got like a 41 or something on Metacritic. That's not good. That is pretty bad. That's like below even just mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I mean that's what I was coming in with, and for that kind of bar, maybe The Rock delivers. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm glad I went into this knowing, like, to myself, this is going to be a movie with The Rock in it, and the things I mentioned before are going to manifest, and that helped me temper my expectations to where I was able to enjoy the movie. If I had not known that going in and gotten that, I would have been very upset. But
if I were a super DC fanboy and just salivating at the mouth thinking about, oh, they're going to take this Black Adam character to all these interesting places and really deliver the DCU to its next level, I think I would be very, very disappointed and lose all hope in the future of the DCU.
No, this is The Rock pumping up his branding because he wants to be Superman's rival in like the movies. Like let's just call this what it is.
Yeah, he wants to be the face of the whole universe. I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's treating it like wrestling, where he's Shazam's nemesis, the character Black Adam, but he wants to set up the Superman beef, and it's because like The Rock is a wrestler, he wants to be billed against the top person, not a mid carder essentially. Like, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I feel like that makes sense in that like he's got very Superman-y type powers.
I mean, yeah, but he has the exact same powers as Shazam though.
Yeah.
Like it's like the exact same. So
can we talk about that for a second? Like,
how can there be two Shazams?
I think I realized that this movie connected with Shazam. And for those that don't know,
it's because The Rock went out of his way to whitewash Black Adam away from the Shazam rivalry because he wants Black Adam to be Superman's rival and not Shazam's. He literally has to say Shazam to get the lightning to give him his shit.
Exactly. Like, you can't have this dark character who's all powerful and it's Shazam. The Rock and he's like, Shazam. I mean, in the Shazam movie, I get it. Like, it's a little kid. It's like
even
a lot more
they
comedic.
reference Black Adam. They even say,
Like,
"Hey, the
oh
former
my
champion."
goodness.
That's him. They're talking about Black.
Oh
they're
my
talking about
goodness. He's Shazam. He might as well say like Cowabunga.
They try to make it deep by having each letter represent a different like God thing, but it's like, yo, the dude's saying Shazam. There's no way to make that. There's no way to make that cool.
Blood out. Like, come on. Like, so outrageous.
They should have made him say it in Arabic or something. Then it would have sounded like, oh, this is like of a different world.
The Rock putting on an accent. Yeah. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he didn't even try it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was a wise move on their part.
Yeah, wisdom. Maybe that's his wisdom of Solomon doing the whole, okay, I know. But yeah, just, again, they whitewashed him out of a lot of his original continuity. But let's talk about this movie, though.
All right. So besides Black Adam, were there any characters that you really enjoyed seeing on screen? Savon, did you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, Dr. Fate, honestly. Dr. Fate stole the show.
Amen.
Pierce, I mean, also, I love Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, too. Like, he was great. Like, this isn't the takeaway from his performance, because I loved him. But Pierce Brosnan was just, I like when DC can take a character who they know has a very, like, one-to-one Marvel equivalent, especially when Marvel has a popular one, but they still make them feel completely different. And Dr. Fate, despite being a doctor and a god-tier mage who is easy to compare to Strange, they felt nothing alike, right? Like, Doctor Strange is an a-hole. Pierce was like, Dr. Fate was chill, polite, introspective. He had this weird weather, like he's really just been through it look on his face that Pierce Brosnan just did a great job of doing without his acting. And his fight scenes were dope where, Doctor Strange, it feels he's pulling a bunch of different spells from different places. And Dr. Fate, it feels like he has his own branding on all his magic. And it works, right? Like, it works for Strange of having a bunch of different aesthetics to his magic, but Fate having just that constant golden, godly just effect to everything he did just really sold me on his character. Someone who I never disliked, but I was always like, okay, fairly neutral. That movie made me a fan of him. And
were you okay with they didn't make it as clear in this movie as they have in cartoons that Dr. Fate sort of inhabits the human?
Yeah,
that like Dr. Fate isn't really the person you're seeing in front of you. They sort of take over and sort of almost
it's like a possession. No, it's it's much more
but it's
portrayed
hostile
negatively
in some ways, right? Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And it was also weird that he had to hold the helmet, so he's just like clutching this helmet,
he's not the main character. Like, that's the type of thing where there's a lot of characters in this movie. There's a lot happening. You cannot give everybody the in-depth bit of their backstory because there's only so much movie to go around. Hawkman, same deal, has a super complicated backstory. They dumbed it down hard, as they should have, because this is not a Dr. Fate movie. We knew enough. He has the helmet. It gives him magic.
Gives him
He's
powers,
really old. That's all we really need to know for the sake of this movie. And less is more. He stole the show, and he needs his own movie.
I agree.
He was great. Can he cross over into the MCU? Can we swap doctors? Is that a thing?
He's way more chill. He's just like a nice granddad who just comes around and just giving you words of affirmation and just, I don't know, being nice.
He might have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, but he's there but not there. About? She's like, I just don't want to see my friend die. And I'm like, yo, man, that was a bar.
He's got a lot of depth, I think.
He was a high point of the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Aldous Hodge.
Yeah,
he was
did a good job. I thought the kids were like, meh. Especially
talking about the younger heroes.
Atom Smasher was like thumbs down. Cyclone was like okay, but like at the end of the day, she was throwing like scaffolding at the Rock or at Black Adam. I mean, you had to know that wasn't going to hurt him. This man was indestructible. He had basic Superman powers, and you were throwing scaffolding at him. Like, come on, that was never going to work.
Yeah, but we knew this was never going to be a you beat Black Adam up movie because The Rock is in it.
Well, but I mean, she didn't do anything.
Not all of us know about his
claws.
Sorry. Well, now you know. It shouldn't be surprising now that everybody was ineffective against him. and didn't do nothing.
He didn't have plot armor. He had contract armor.
The real life plot armor. No, but like unironically, yes, Brian. Like I thought the other heroes were fine. Like they weren't bad, but Adam, he was straight. Cyclone, she was cool. I'm glad she saved Uncle. Like he was.
It was really weird watching the mirror MCU happen on screen. It's like, oh, here's Doctor Strange. Oh, here's
Black
here's
Panther
who's,
Falcon.
Yeah, exactly. Who like kind of and then there's like a Cyclone who's like maybe a mix of Black Panther's sister. I can't remember her name right now. It's like a little bit of Shuri, but then a little bit of Storm, maybe, and then we got Atom Smasher. It's like, oh, weird. Mark Ruffalo
Ant-Man
is playing Ant-Man. like what is happening here?
He was entertaining. The one thing I will say I like with the Justice Society, despite like the other two not being like the most charismatic, is that I do like that they made them all contribute, and you know what, their actual heroic acts bounced off of Black Adam's like disregard for like it's a small thing, but I did like the movie made a point of when Black Adam's just destroying shit, they are actually still defending and protecting people despite the criticism of them being like a foreign party with not good interests. You know,
yeah,
it's some of that that could have been a lot worse, and I thought that actually played out really well on screen. Of y'all are foreign people who don't normally help out, but y'all actually are still saving lives in a way where Adam is just still a salt lord.
This anti-imperialism plot line through the movie. I was really pleasantly surprised by that. I was like, well, at least that's something good The Rock can do. He can get that kind of movie made where we're talking about, white people coming in and controlling brown countries and stuff like that. I mean, this whole movie was, in a way, is like, okay, is this Palestine that we're talking about here? What was the name of this fictional place? Kondak, right? Yeah, it's like, oh, this is Palestine. They have checkpoints, military checkpoints. The local people are living under the thumb of international threats, and then they're looking for a hero. A hero who is rising up for slaves. Mm-hmm. So there, those kind of undertones, I think, were really fascinating, and it actually made the Justice Society seem foolish.
Yeah.
But I do like,
which was cool, right? It turned the heroes on their head.
Yeah, it was a back and forth. Like they were saving people. Like it was a good blend of like, yeah, y'all imperialist forces, but when Adam is destroying shit, y'all still are saving innocent people. But y'all also didn't come here until Adam was a threat, and now it's like, okay, well, y'all don't have people's best interests at heart. It was legit. Like I felt like every side legitimately had valid points where I'm like, I'm not rooting or cheering for one or the other, but like, yo, this is complicated. Like Adam, you can't just be out here killing people though. Like your boy had a solid point.
And I like that Hawkman does not just say like heroes don't kill. He also said like, let's not do extrajudicial killings.
Yeah,
because I am a black man, and that is the kind of stuff we got to fight against.
Yeah, he was like, he made good points, like those valid points that. When Adam kills your boy and he's just in Dr. Face like, can you bring Easy alive? I can break his mind. And Homer's just like, oh, he didn't make it. I'm like, all right, cool.
Well,
so
don't do extrajudicial killings, but let's go ahead and just remand you to the criminal justice system that is just as tilted. So, win some, you lose some.
Well, come on. Adam was just out here. Adam was just out here brutalizing people, though. Also,
but he
Adam
was
is not a hero.
The oppressor. He was brutalizing the colonizers.
We were kind of happy to see it, right?
Oh, yeah, it was great. No, it was great, but also like, it was great for me as like an audience viewer. I would not feel comfortable if there was a Black Adam character in real life who just had these god powers and is just throwing people around like action figures in a.
But he was only throwing the bad guys around. He was throwing the.
But isn't his whole point though is that he's not the hero though. He's he does kill innocent people.
But in that moment, he was killing just bad guys. Okay, so you talked about it being brutal, and this movie actually ends up being quite brutal and shows us kind of graphically.
That was a hard PG-13, homie. Like it was a PG-13. They really clearly had that this was a rated R movie in its original cut. And they clearly had to be like, all right, man, look, take the blood
Black
out
Adam
here.
like lightning melts a guy for a good 5 seconds on screen as he just disintegrates and melts away. We should talk about that. Did that something that worked? Did anything stand out to you? Were you like, ooh, Savon? Did you see anything?
Yeah, I mean, what I like the most is that, and we have to remember, a lot of superheroes absolutely have body counts. Like Iron Man has a body count. Captain America 100% has a body count. We watch him kill people on screen, right? But we still frame him as heroic. And, you know, part of it is because there's like this necessary force point, right? Like we've played video games where you're beating people up, but there's a difference between beating up your enemies and brutalizing your enemies. There's a difference between Tekken and Mortal Kombat where you're doing finishing moves, you know? And I think what really worked was that Adam's kills weren't just I'm incapacitating a threat. He's like, no, I'm actually like, he was clearly having fun with it, you know, and he's finding, like, you know, there's that ridiculous sequence where they show off his super speed from his perspective, and, you know, they decided, yeah, let's play Paint It Black. That's a song we're gonna play, which I'll try not to get too upset about that. But when you putting grenades in people's mouths in slow motion and redirecting blades at dudes running away, that's not even like a righteous kill. You're getting into like Geneva Convention territory of like, all right, this is just kind of overly brutal. So it's hard for me to root for you, even if these are crappy mercenaries. That being said, there was a point where he grabs a guy by the arm and chucks him at another guy, and it kills both of the guys. But the guy he threw so hard that his arm, like the Rock was still holding his arm. You know what I'm talking about?
Like he had ripped the thigh off a chicken.
Yes, like he threw the dude at the other dude, but he threw the first dude so hard that the body went flying, but he's so strong, the arm was still in his hand. And the Rock just threw the dude, killed, and he's just looking at the arm and just tosses it aside. I'm like, oh shit, this is one of them kind of movies. Like, all right, cool. We're establishing what kind of character Black Adam is, where
that's like
he doesn't have restraint.
That's like when you have like really cheap cutlery and you're trying to like chop a chicken and the handle just comes off.
Yeah.
But the blade remains in the chicken.
Yeah. No,
that's the worst, where the knife falls apart.
Yeah.
This movie certainly had some weak points. Was there anything in here that was like so distracting that you were like, this just takes me out of it, or like really messes with your ability to enjoy this 40% Metacritic movie?
Let's just say it. We know what it is.
What is it?
Come on.
Well,
Ryan,
I mean, before I say the thing that I think you're getting at, the one other thing that I really hated about this movie, but made me laugh so many times, like I was loud in the theater. Both me and Anna were laughing out loud at moments we should not have been. It's like the slow
motion
the super
moment,
slow motion where we're really close up on the Rock's head, and he's like mid battle, like he's being dragged across the planet by some speeder, and we get the wide angle slow motion shot of his face with his contorting and his mouth open, and it's like, whoa, like come on, Rock, you got to put that into your contract, like no slow motion close-ups, no shots of you eating. Like, come on, that's not good.
Those shots went on like 3 seconds longer than they should have. It was just like,
oh my god, and there were like 10 more than there should have been.
Yeah, honestly.
But the moment when I was like, oh my god, this is bad timing, was when the Rock is like, or Black Adam is in a showdown fight. I don't even remember what is happening. I think he's fighting the Imperial Guard people. And then cue Kanye West Power.
Oh my god.
Okay,
like,
wow.
Okay, dude, the music choice for this movie was terrible. Every song, it was like a kid went to their Spotify top thing and just said, like, we're doing Power for the scene where Black Adam has to show off his power. We're doing Paint It Black when Black Adam first arrives and starts moving in slow motion. We're doing the uncle in the car doing the off-key baby come back.
Yeah.
I was like, who the hell picked the songs for these sequences? That shit was
like, you guys are
awful.
not James Gunn.
That was not like, that alone hurt the movie. I was like, dude, this scene is amazing and this music is terrible.
Didn't Call of Duty release a promo a few years ago where they used Paint It Black, and it was kind of similar? It was like a war, scene where people were like throwing things, and it'd be like fast motion and then slow motion.
Yeah, but like at least but COD at least takes itself seriously though. Like, COD at least has the tone to maybe get away with that. I don't know, bro. This is Black Adam. This is just that was awful.
Oh
in
my
the second
God.
half,
and then the
they
Western
went away.
Thing.
In the second half of the movie, they went away from pop culture music and more to scored music.
They did Power right before the end, though. Like when they attacked the base. Yeah, that's what we was talking about. That was towards the end because they all together.
That was the beginning still.
We have to work together. Here's our plan. I'm like, oh, wow, y'all are awful timing for Kanye West, too. While Kanye's stock is at an all-time low.
Oh, my God. And then you're like, is this what he meant by DEFCON 3? Like, oh, boy, this is bad. This is bad.
Okay, so we agreed on the music, but like, you still didn't say the thing I had an issue with, Brian, but I'll let you do your thing.
No. That took the cake.
Well, Wes, maybe you know what it is.
No, I have no idea.
That effing kid, are y'all kidding me?
You didn't like the kid?
Oh, I actually thought the kid was all right.
I like the kid.
That kid, what? Y'all, the most not liking people I know, that didn't ruin. Dude, this movie felt like two movies that were stitched together.
In my heart for little
Absolutely
children.
Not. I need them to be skilled when they're on screen. This movie felt like two movies stitched together. I felt like I had a Justice Society screen. I had a Justice Society movie with Pierce Brosnan and Aldous Hodge and all these cool actors doing dope dialogue and conversations. And then I just had this effing kid who's trying to hype up the crowd. He's talking at like room volume. He's talking at like he's using like a level 2 voice right now.
Level 2?
Like he's
doing conversation.
Yeah, like he's doing small groups. He's saying, everyone, this is our time. We need to take over. This is when this is the time now.
He threw the diamond in the sky.
He just threw up the rock. You think you Jay-Z? He just put up the rock. The rock. And then all the people in like this war zone city just hear this kid. And I was just like, yo, did y'all just need to move that plot forward? When he came skateboarding around the corner with an angry mob to fight the mob of the undead, when I tell you, I visibly sighed. I like audibly sighed.
When he's being chased around his apartment complex and he thinks it's a good idea to put on his hood and then skateboard by. And then
the dude immediately sees him. It doesn't even I don't know what's worse. The fact that he tried to do it and it didn't work. So now I want to ask the movie makers, what the F was the point of that? Like, I think I'd rather that work than you have him do it and it doesn't work, because now you disrespected everybody in this. You disrespected the actor, you disrespected the people chasing him, you disrespected me as a viewer, but anyone to think that shit was gonna work.
So absurd.
I was livid.
So mine is more appearance based. I love watching like sports, but I also really like sort of analyzing and just looking at like the uniforms and the small visual cues that go into sports. So like anytime an NBA team changes their floor design, I'm really into that. I'm like, oh, let me go look at what their details are. Like anytime they change the jerseys, I'm like, oh, let me look at the jerseys, see what's going on. Like same with NFL, NBA, like I'll check out all that stuff. So it really bothered me.
Where are you going with this?
It really bothered me that Black Adam's costume had a huge neck collar cutout. Like it looked like a t-shirt, but where someone had like
there's so many things wrong with this movie, Wes.
And so the effect is it looks like he's like doesn't fit in his thing, even though he does fit in his costume. And like from the rear view, he doesn't have a cape or a collar or anything. Like there's no like shape to the top of his thing. So because he's got these giant neck shoulder muscles, from the back it looks like they're just like squeezing out of his costume in a weird like awkward way. And like you don't normally see the back of someone's I'm turning around, like the back of someone's neck, but like below their neck, like their upper back. You don't usually see that on somebody. So it's really weird that like his costume had like a low cutout for that. It was very strange. I was like super distracted by this costume design and why anyone okayed this.
I'm distracted by you right now.
It's an odd criticism, but I think Wes is actually maybe pointing out something else that did bother me. Was it just me, or did The Rock look kind of chunky as Black Adam? Like he kind of looked like Zion Williams, like as a superhero wearing a weird outfit that like this guy maybe needs to lay off the cookies so he can.
Do not drag
like
me into your fat shaming, Brian. You can have that island all to yourself.
If we're calling, I want to take a second, y'all. Are we gonna sit here and say that The Rock looked fat and or out of shape?
He looked kind of chunky.
50-year-old Dwayne
right?
The Rock Johnson, who
No way.
He's like putting the steroids in the wrong places.
The Rock is a lot of things. A lot of things.
I'm not gonna fat shame that.
Chunky
man.
is not the word I would use. Now, maybe he just
overbuilt.
Maybe he just looks like a damn action figure, and that's hard to take seriously on screen because regular people don't look like that. But I don't know. We can muscle shame him, but we don't have to fat shame him. Like, let's just call it what it is.
I'm shaming him all the way, man.
He too like it might not
too
be
beefy.
We don't have to fat shame him, but we can absolutely muscle shame this man. Like, hey, bro,
you look like
too
Zion,
damn big.
Man.
It's like it's like a whole Kevin Hart bit or something about people who go to the gym too much. Like, you won. You won the gym. What are you this strong for? What are you getting? What do you need to? I guess him, you're super.
I mean, Kevin Hart is pretty buff himself. He's not a stranger to the gym.
But the bit is like, you can't be built like The Rock in this movie and then work at a call center. Like, there's no justification for you being this big. And I'm like, The Rock, you a movie star. You don't even need to like do a bunch. You don't do your own stunts. You have a stunt double. You could be smaller and it wouldn't change what you do in your roles.
Which we got a smaller but still buff.
Oh, that was odd.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Yeah, because he looked like
his face on someone else's body.
Yeah, because it looked like The Rock when he was a wrestler and a regular human being. Like, The Rock as a wrestler was still jacked and in shape. It was just before he started juicing, and but like
got that HGH.
Yeah, but The Rock is 50 years old. I promise you, that man is not that big off just drinking juice and celery water and lifting weights, like
and eggs
and egg whites.
That man can pound a lot of sushi too.
I'm really mad y'all weren't upset about that damn child.
The kid? Nah, he was fine.
There's way too much to be upset about.
Yeah,
that city is too war-torn for him to just be skateboarding on them streets. You can't even skateboard in New Orleans.
Of Three Ninjas. We love Three Ninjas. You can't. Yeah, no, that's gonna win for us every time.
All-time fave.
Yeah, what? No, that's gonna win so much. There was this terrible movie in like the late 90s that sort of tried to capitalize on like
Ninja Turtles
a little bit, right? But also like
just
Karate
like ninjas.
Kid.
Yeah,
and like the hype of ninjas. And so it was these three little boys who were like clearly not brothers, but were supposed to be brothers, and they lived with their uncle or something who was like Asian, and that didn't make sense. But it was like a Mr. Miyagi like a like person, but not Mr. Miyagi, and his eye was weird. And
they have a Japanese grandfather. I'm looking up this movie.
Yeah, and they like he like trains them, and then somehow they get like attacked, and then they use laxative and their ninja skills to fend off these guys, and it's called Three Ninjas.
And let's also not forget Surf Ninjas, which also came out around the same time, capitalizing on the same things. Also very weird. Kids being ninjas. Rob Schneider among them. This is the bar that we're working with, though. Here, this is why we can accept the little boy on a skateboard.
For sure, the look of dismay on Savon's face is so good right now.
I'm joking.
That's why we don't have a problem with this.
But they got the Japanese grandfather. Boy, I'm looking at this. But he nicknamed him Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum. That's what you nickname your white children, your white grandchildren who you teach in martial arts to.
Yeah. And Grandpa didn't have an accent at all, I don't think.
This feels racist on both ends. This feels offensive to the white kids. This feels offensive to this Japanese man. I feel like this sounds awful.
Tum Tum also definitely getting fat shamed in that movie.
Oh my god! And so he's a chunky ninja.
The butt of the joke.
One of the highlights of my childhood movie watching experience.
I'm sorry to hear that, Pimp.
I've watched that movie multiple times.
This is the end of the spectrum that Black Adam existed.
Okay, cool. So we just have different bars.
And like, I mean, we grew up with like the Simpsons video game, like Bart using his skateboard as a weapon. That was fun.
That was fun. The little 4-player game, and then Marge with a vacuum cleaner.
With a vacuum.
Oh yeah,
right. Like that doesn't make sense. You can't maneuver a vacuum cleaner, especially the industrial strength version that she had. You ain't swinging that on nobody.
Wes flexing that home appliance knowledge.
Yeah, hell no. So I mean, me and Brian are particularly like okay with things like that. We're of a certain age. We believe that stuff. Yeah.
But I'll say, like, as a whole...
But put him in a bad costume with no collar, and all of a sudden, I'm out.
But all that being said,
does it remind you of the sleeved NBA jerseys?
Oh, no, the sleeved NBA jerseys are fire. I stand by them.
No, those are weird.
You're weird.
No. Yeah, no. That was bad. All right, so let's wrap this up. this movie is part of, DC. It kind of falls within the DCEU a little bit, sort of, kind of.
It absolutely does.
How do we sort of put this into rankings or comparative, sort of relative to compared to other DC movies? Let's not compare it to Marvel. We're not comparing it to other movies we've enjoyed. Just in terms of DC movies, where are you putting this? Okay, so for me, I'm gonna say certainly better than Justice League, both versions. Better than the first Suicide Squad by far, but not as good as second Suicide Squad, and not as good as the Batman. I'd say it's not as good as the original Shazam either. I kind of enjoyed original Shazam. It was a surprise.
Yeah, Shazam wasn't a
Where are you
movie.
putting this?
I am not well
Brian?
versed. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm jumping in. I'm not well versed in the DC movie universe.
I mean, because they haven't put that many out. They keep messing it up.
I'll leave Savon to actually come in with that perspective.
Oh, I guess like Man of Steel.
Like
Superman versus Batman.
I haven't seen
Batman
Superman versus Batman. I haven't
Batman versus
seen
Superman.
the Justice League movie, the Snyder Cut, none of that.
Wait, I thought you did watch that with us.
No.
Oh, you skipped it?
I don't waste my time. I have seen the most recent Suicide Squad, the
Enjoyable.
Man of Steel, the Batman. I mean, in a way, Black Adam feels like par for the course for the DC universe, right? There's some good, there's plenty of bad. You can see that they're still grasping at straws, trying to figure out their identity, right? They're kind of doing the Marvel thing. They're mixing in the quips, but they're still trying to make it Zack Snyder, stylish, dark. There's a lot of that going on, right? They don't quite know their identity, right? And then they're also doing the crossover thing, which maybe doesn't bode the best for the DC universe, right? Like Amanda Waller is thrown into the mix here. Also, why is she commanding the Justice Society? I don't understand that. And also, why is she commanding Superman, for that matter? And then also Superman showing up in the end credits, and he's gonna go head to head with Black Adam. There's a lot going on, and so that's all to say. The DCU is kind of it's kind of a mess. It's like a hodgepodge grab bag. We're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, and maybe none of it is as a result, right? Whereas to me, their high mark is the Batman, right? Because the Batman kind of just did its own thing. It really had its own perspective, and it stuck to it, and it did it pretty well for the most part.
Until the third act.
Yeah. The muddied third act.
Yeah,
right?
but it was still better than this.
It was kind of a fourth act, honestly.
Yeah.
But still miles ahead of Black Adam and the rest of what DC is putting out.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
So we're saying DC's not back yet.
Ugh.
They're still
James Gunn has a lot to work on.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, he's taking over as head of DC or DC films. He's gonna head up that project.
Yeah,
so
but that means he can't make every DC thing.
No,
so
thank God. Also, I wouldn't want him to make every DC. Jesus, that's
no, that would be exhausting.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh my God.
So I think he's got his work cut out for him, but hopefully they can kind of really develop their own niche, which they are still struggling to do.
Savon, where are you going to put this movie?
I mean, it's on the lower end of the spectrum. He's got to keep it up. Like,
okay.
Aquaman's better. Man of Steel's better. Batman vs. Superman's better. I'd say Justice League's better. Suicide Squad definitely better.
Oh, I like this better than Aquaman.
No, Aquaman was actually a good movie. But
okay.
Well, the biggest thing with Black Adam is that its peaks are really dope, and the Justice Society I really do think carry this movie, because Black Adam just is not The Rock isn't a super. He's not very charismatic or does a lot as Black Adam. It's more of him fulfilling his power fantasy more than him doing a lot.
Yeah,
of
he
fun,
was too Encino Man. Yeah. He was way too much like fish out of water.
Yeah, and it was it's cool.
Blank stare.
Yeah, and the twist of him not being the hero was actually
another 90s
good
movie, Encino Man.
And the twist was actually a good twist of he was the son of the champion. They actually
I like that.
At the end,
that was
straight
cool.
up. I got tricked on that, but it's just challenging because The Rock doesn't the character Black Adam has a lot of personality and lore to it, but I think it's out of The Rock's comfort zone of what he wants the character to be, and so you just didn't really get that, In the comics, I don't know if they're gonna go that route, but Black Adam is like a dictator who's he's a dictator who executes people. And I don't know. They didn't really lean into that. Like I thought he was gonna take over. He doesn't. So I don't know if I'm gonna appreciate The Rock's influence on the character. But the movie's highs are really high, but the lows are bad, bro. And like for all the other for all these other DC movies, some of which I'm not a crazy huge fan of, but they didn't just have shit like that in the movie theater made me be like, yo. Like if I'm in a movie theater lit watching it, like I'm a pretty easy dude to entertain. So if you still got me like groaning and being like, yo, what the hell is this?
I wasn't groaning.
It takes a lot. Like I said, the kid that was a lot, man. Them people should have been ashamed of themselves with his multiple eye groan moments. So like the highs are high, but the lows are egregiously bad, bro. Like the kid moments, the musical choice, the slow motion shots that were way longer in slow motion than they needed to be. The other DC movies, for all their flaws, didn't have shit like that just like maybe the first
Justice
Suicide
League
Squad
absolutely did.
Yeah, Justice League had a lot of issues, but it didn't just have there was levels, bro. Some of that was like, yo, the kid, some of like in the Justice League there's issues with it, but I can understand how this issue happened. I don't know what the hell happened when they decided we're gonna make this kid a focal point in the movie. Like they could have took that entire kid out. Like it was, we had a good Justice Society movie stitched together with like a bad People of Conduct beef in this Crown movie. And it just led into like this real hot and cold. Sometimes I'm super enthralled. Other times I'm like, can we get back to the characters who are fun to watch? Like you got Pierce Brosnan on one end of the spectrum, and then this kid trying to rally a crowd with a level 1 voice in another scene. And I'm just like, yo, this movie is so all over the place, man.
To the sky.
Yeah, I'm just like, yo. Meanwhile, these other characters are giving these dope heroic speeches talking about when is our time to die. We'll know. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. People, now's the time.
I walked away feeling like pretty good. I was like, as a B, I'm not going to need to watch it again.
That is so generous.
Yeah, no, I was feeling generous. I was entertained. I was like, it was fun. Like I got to see a cool movie, and you know
what kind of B this was, Wes? And this is the kind, because you're a teacher, you know what kind of B this is. This is a B where the student had a bunch of different sections, Brian, on the assignment, and some sections they knocked out the park. Like, oh, you studied for this part. Oh, you good. And then the other parts is like, oh, you did not study this at all. You left it half blank. And so you got like a 98 and a 100 on this section. And the teacher not going to just give you a flat 0 because that drags everything else down to like an F, which is still just a net thing. So they give you a 50 instead so that it's an F, but not just a tank your grade.
Yeah.
And so you balance out to like a low B. And you can tell your parents, all right, this was hard. I got a B. Even though the reality is that you min-maxed one subject over another. That is what this movie is. They say we're going to be super good at these other parts and F the other parts that we're not going to be good at.
That's interesting.
And we'll just see how it balances out. Other DC movies at least were more balanced in like their mediocrity. It's like, all right, if it was mid top to bottom, not amazing and then awful.
I don't know. Like I would recommend people to go see it.
No, you should. You should see the movie. I enjoyed it. No, you should. No,
maybe for a $5 movie night.
Yeah,
$5 movie night.
Go see it.
You'll be entertained if you watch it, but it's just a lot of like. It's good. I think The Rock doesn't lose a fight thing is a good preface people should have going into this movie.
That doesn't bother me.
When I went to see it, people actually walked out of the movie, which I have not seen.
Someone walked out of my
time.
theater too, but I don't think that was.
I think that's telling.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know why they walked out.
I mean,
don't think
we don't 100% know why.
It was like 5 minutes in, so I don't think it was anything.
But put it this way: if it's an incredible movie, like even if you do have something going on, like that walkout seems a lot harder, right? You can see people kind of like slowly getting up, moving out. These people just like got up.
All right, we're done. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, it's like I got better things to do. Like I catch up on House of the Dragon.
There was after those 2 people left, there was 3 people total in my movie theater, me included. So there was one other couple there at the show.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the theater doing homework. I watch it for this podcast.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate you.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Hey, but we're gonna watch Wakanda Forever, not as homework. I'm really looking forward to that one.
I hope it delivers. Early reviews suggest it does.
Oh, really? Okay.
That movie's almost 3 hours. I'm so ready.
Oh man. Okay,
It's like
so don't
more
drink.
Than, it's
don't
more than 2.5
chug the
hours.
soda in the beginning of the movie like I did for Black Adam. That was a pain, man.
Exactly.
I had to find a spot where I could go pee and not miss anything.
Exactly that.
All right, friends, let's wrap this up here. At confidently_pod. Hit us up on Instagram. Savon be running the account.
Yeah.
We'll put out some good questions. I'll see you later, fellas.
Shazam!
Bye. Oh my god.